What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another video in the start of the season. This is going to be my first post-game reaction video for week one. I want to first off apologize. Usually I'm pretty good about getting it after the game, but if you were following me on any kind of social media, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, you would know that I was actually at the game. So I'm back, kind of just collected my thoughts. And so let's talk about this. Let's talk about this.
Down the field, Lamb, 10, 5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play.
The defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.
So the Dallas Cowboys opened up the season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and last year, it was a fireworks show. It was just a shootout, just going back and forth. And this was the complete opposite. Good God. And, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to talk about Dak Prescott. We're going to talk about all of that. But there was a huge part of the game that he was actually involved. He didn't get injured until one of the final drives. So there was a lot of game to happen that you can actually analyze and talk about before the injury, because that was just the cherry on the top. And it made a really awful situation just complete. It just made, just S word hit the fan. It was just like the worst possible outcome ever you could have hoped for. It was just, good God, it's hard to comprehend still that happened, and that we got the product that we did on a Sunday night game, and we saw what we saw, and we were just all equally mad, angry, frustrated, disappointed in that. And then just 3 minutes left, something else happens that just completely changes the outlook of the season and how we're going to be looking at this team for the next 8 weeks. I think that's partly what makes the game of football so fun to watch and great. It's things can either go positive and negative super quick, and it's just, you're on the other side of it. But let's go ahead and talk about this. I want to jump into the offense here, because that's the big thing, right? The offense. There's only one word I can describe this offense as. It's not bad. It's not angry. Those are not the words I would use. The only word that I could use, and I've been thinking about this, I was on a plane, I was driving, just thinking, what could be the word that I could say about this offense? And it's limp. This offense was straight up just limp. I've never seen a worse offense coming out of the gate, and it was just abysmal. That first drive, however, was very promising. You got to agree with me on that one. I love the way that we were balancing the attack with throwing the ball and running the ball. And I'll say this, because in my season prediction video and in my pregame prediction video, thank you so much for watching, is I thought Ezekiel Elliott was definitely not going to be as effective as I guess the Cowboys probably would want him to be. And weirdly enough, he had a great game, and in typical Cowboys fashion, typical Kellen Moore fashion, they would go away from the running game when it was such a close game. We've seen that story before, but I really thought Ezekiel Elliott had a terrific game. The way he was running after getting the carry, and the way that he was fighting for extra yards, it really got us some really important first downs on that first drive. So kudos to him. I really don't understand. Here we go. I really don't understand the reason for getting away from the running game. I understand it if you're down, 35-10 or 35-3 or something like that. You just got to pass. But in such a close game where for majority of the game it was, 6-3, 9-3, 12-3, you could still run the ball and take your time on a drive. And they really just got away with that. And this is one of my criticisms here, too, that you hear about the offense. I said that they need to incorporate Tony Pollard a lot more. You have to be super specific with the way that you incorporate Tony Pollard, because the way that they do it is probably the worst way that you can go about it. Is this drive's going to be Zeke's drive, and this drive's going to be Tony Pollard's drive. I think you can really make their tandem work and their duo work is if you switch them in within the drive. So, Zeke gets first, second down, and depending on the package or depending on how third down looks, you put in Tony Pollard or you stay with Zeke. You just got to mix them in with the formations within the drives, not just, hey, you're going to get 2 drives at the beginning of the game, and then Tony's going to get 1, and then Zeke's going to get the next one. It's just so predictable, and it really just puts this offense in a stunt is what it does. And so, but I'll say this, I really don't know who to blame for this abysmal offense. And I mean that in the sense that I know who to blame, but there's just so much blame to go around for what caused this. It starts with the GM. It starts with the owner. It starts with Steven and Jerry, and then it works its way down to the OC, works its way down to the offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, and then it finds its way to Dak Prescott. It's just equally horrible, awful, because it starts with the personnel that you put on the field, and Jerry and Steven take big pride, especially when the team does really well. They take huge pride in the fact that, hey, this is the team that we put together. Well, guess what? This is the team that they put together, and they gambled. They bet on themselves. They bet on our guys, and they lost big time. Big time. So big, they lost so big that Dak Prescott's going to be paying for it for the 6 to 8 weeks. And I know Jerry said, hey, I expect him to have him back within 4 games. Stop. Just do what you need to do to fix the roster for the next 8 weeks. We'll deal with it after the bye. And we'll see where we are with Dak Prescott after the bye week when we play the Green Bay Packers. But that's the first thing. I'm going to be really quick because I know you guys have heard it, but basically every issue that was brought up in training camp, preseason, the offseason, everything that fans were righteously and justifiably angry about with the roster, with the wide receivers, with the lack of talent on the offensive line, all those things blew up in week 1, and we saw it. It's so sad that 3 points is all the Dallas Cowboys could muster. It's sad that we are still the only team in the NFL after week 1 to not score a touchdown. It is sad that in our home stadium, AT&T Stadium, we weren't able to get past the 30, and we weren't even able to get a couple of plays in the red zone. That is pathetic. It is sad. It is disappointing. It is depressing. This is all on Jerry and Steven, and they should rightfully get all the blame. They should rightfully get all the criticism. I can't believe they started the season thinking that this was going to work, that this was going to be the team to capitalize on what was a good season last year and take us to the next level. Next up, Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is basically just Jason Garrett with a few trick plays. And it's probably the worst trick plays. I mean, I would settle for a flea flicker at this point. But what he's doing with, running Tony Pollard back there, the fake, or maybe they toss it back to Seed, it's just abysmal. It's a drive killer. Just call the game, man. He makes it so complicated. He makes it so much harder than it needs to be. And you guys know how I feel about Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore shouldn't even be a coach in the NFL, but somehow he is because he had dinner with Jerry. I don't know. And then we got to talk about Dak Prescott because this man is the leader of our team. He is the heartbeat of the Dallas Cowboys. And despite the first drive that he saw, he was inaccurate. He was making the wrong throws. His throws were off timing. His pocket presence was off. It was just so surprising when I had made a video, you guys saw my pregame prediction video, where I was super confident in the fact that Dak was going to at least be serviceable to the wide receivers that were there. I really thought it was a Tony Romo situation because we've seen Tony Romo do that so many times. We've seen him play with Miles Austin, Laurent Robinson. We've seen him play with Jesse Holley. Just like these names that, they're solid, they're fine wide receivers. They're talented, but they're not, on the caliber of, Des Bryant, Terrell Owens, those kind of things. And I really had the utmost confidence in Dak Prescott being like, okay, he's going to be able to get us through the next couple of weeks, at least until Michael Gallup comes, and then we can work with that. But this man, I mean, it was crazy that he reverted back to that 2017 Dak Prescott before Amari Cooper was traded for. It blew me away that he just reverted back to that. And I was not a huge Dak Prescott supporter, but then the injury happened and the way he came back, I started to go on board and I was like, Dak is the guy. This is making me question everything. Is this seriously the point of where our quarterback is at, where Amari Cooper really made that much of a difference? That is insane to me. I'm sitting here just trying to put it into words that this man is arguably right now, he is a product of his environment. You need to put the best offensive line behind him. You need to give him the best wide receivers. And even when you do, he still can't win. You look at the 2016 season, he had one of the best best rosters in Cowboys history. He didn't show up at all in the first half. He started to play here in the second half. And then, we lost to the Green Bay Packers in the divisional playoffs. And then he had one of the best wide receiving cores, the trio, last year, and one of the best defenses we've had in years. And again, he didn't show up the first half. And then he started to play in the second half against the San Francisco 49ers, and we lost to the 49ers. I'm beginning to question this man again about why we paid him, and why he is why he's going to be the future of the Dallas Cowboys. It is right to question whether or not he is going to be the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys and whether we should be looking at something else, because we've been down this road before. Cowboy fans know exactly what to expect in this type of situation where the Dallas Cowboys quarterback is injured and we're dealing with another season with the backup quarterback. History tells us right now that we don't make the playoffs. It doesn't matter if it's Andy Dalton, doesn't matter if it's Matt Castle, it doesn't matter if it's Ben DiNucci, it doesn't matter if it's Kellen Moore who's our backup quarterback. Right now, the Cowboys are not built to last and win the division or go to the playoffs without a starting quarterback. And when we see this injury bug happen, it's been 3 seasons. Dak Prescott has not played a full season. Last year, he had the injury to his ankle after winning the game against the Patriots. He had to sit out 1 game against the Minnesota Vikings. And now this year, he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. It's right to question whether or not this guy is going to be dependable physically. And we thought the same thing about Tony Romo, but Dak Prescott is not Tony Romo. At least we could justify that Tony Romo was offensive coordinator on the field and he made this team better. Remember when he got injured a couple seasons ago? He won the game in Sunday Night Football against the New York Giants and he got injured against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then we waited and he pushed himself to come back for that game against the Miami Dolphins. And he single-handedly willed us to that victory. It's just something you knew about Tony Romo. And I'm not just saying this because my channel's Tony Goat Romo or my username is Tony Goat Romo or you see all the Tony Romo stuff behind me. I'm saying this because Tony Romo actually gave us a chance. When he came on the field, everyone knew. All the fans knew that we had a chance when number 9 stood up on the field. Now, let me ask you this. Do you feel the same way when number 4 is on the field? Granted, I do think the team is better and has a better chance with Dak Prescott, but it's not. But say he comes back in that Green Bay game 8 weeks from now. I feel the same way about that game. If he wasn't there, I think we're going to lose. There's just not that much confidence, and I'm just disappointed. Before the injury, I'm just so surprised about how terrible he played. And when you were given the key to the Dallas Cowboys, you were given the reins and saying, we're all in on Dak Prescott. He goes out and plays like that for a season opener, despite the personnel. I understand that. But man, oh man, it was bad. 10 penalties. I thought this was going to be addressed. Mike McCarthy's on the hot seat right now. If all last year, all we heard was about penalties, and then you tell us all offseason, there will be no penalties. We're going to fix it. We're going to iron those things out. I don't think it's an issue coming from the offseason. I think it's just a preseason issue. That's not the final product. That's what you told us, Mike. But 10 penalties? False starts? Holding calls? You're on the hot seat right now. And I like Mike. I think he is put in a bad light because in 3 seasons that he's been the Dallas Cowboys head coach, one of them, he's had his starting quarterback. And he has an 18-15 record. I think it's 18-16 record now with the loss from last night or from Sunday night. But I think he's done a somewhat decent job with what he's been given so far. But the penalties, and I said it all last year, penalties are a reflection of the lack of discipline from the head coach. Ridiculous. That's it. That's all I'm going to say about the offense. Fix it. I'm going to make another video about what the Cowboys should do until Dak Prescott comes back. And I can also tell you what they're going to do because that's going to look a whole lot different. The defense was spectacular. I told you guys, my prediction was right. I told you guys Micah was going to get 2 sacks. He had 2 sacks in the first half. And I said there was going to be an interception. And guess what? There was an interception. Now, I said it was probably going to be Anthony Brown or Jordan Lewis. In fact, it was Donovan Wilson. But, hey, I got that one right. That's why you guys should listen to me. I plug into this. I know this team. I know the NFL. I know Cowboys football, in a good way and a bad way. But Oh my gosh, if you told me that we were going to hold this team to 19 points, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in his final season with all that hype, that we were going to hold him to 19 points, I would have told you, wow, I think our offense can manage. But they only mustered 3 points. This defense is the highlight. And I told you guys, you guys got to listen to me. I told you guys that the Cowboys, their defense was going to be playoff caliber. And they're going to create a lot of opportunities for this offense. What happened Sunday night? They held them to field goals, man. They only let one touchdown, and it took a really amazing catch from Mike Evans to get that touchdown. But we held them to 19 points. This defense, man. If I'm Jerry, man, I'm looking at this team right now. I'm like, I got to do everything I can to get this offense to a winnable level, because this defense is nothing to waste. This defense is a really good opportunity. I don't care if we sneak into the playoffs at a 10-7 record, 9-8 record. But when we get to the playoffs and everyone's healthy and we got Tyron Smith, we got Dak Prescott back, we got the defense working as it should, watch out. Watch out. It's a long season. I'm not saying the season's over. It's definitely not over. But there is definitely a way to get into the playoffs and make some noise with this defense. And so last but not least, Dak Prescott out 6 to 8 weeks. Good God, man. Are we not cursed? Are we not cursed? I don't know what it is. I'll tell you what it is. I think it's Jerry not putting Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Honor. That's what has cursed us. And I honestly believe if next game Jerry put Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Honor, we would win. I am 100. I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I think that's literally the thing. Jerry's pride and him doing Jimmy wrong all these years is literally the thing that has been holding us back. That's my theory. Next week, I'm doing it. I'm pulling out the red ropes. I'm giving Jimmy a spot right there next to Michael, Emmett, and Troy. Are we not cursed, man? We saw this with Romo. Romo had so many just phantom injuries, man. And you're telling me this something happens with 3 minutes left in the game, and now we're looking at 6 to 8 weeks? God dang, man. That is just Cowboys football right there. We always draw the shortest stick. Good God, man. That's disappointing, but I think this team can manage. And that's me saying that unbiasedly and realistically. I think the Cowboys can manage, and I think their best case scenario is going into that Green Bay game after the bye week is being 4-4. It is manageable. And if you're telling me we're 4-4 going into the later part of the season, we get Dak Prescott back, I like our chances. Obviously with a few personal changes and different things that I'll comment on in another video where I'm talking about what the Cowboys should do and what they're going to do. But I think we can manage, guys. Season's not gone. It's not. It's going to be harder. It's going to be more challenging than it used to be. But it's still there. Other than that, that's I know this is a long video, but I mean, the game is something to talk about. This game was ridiculous. Yeesh. But go ahead and comment down below what you think about it. What you thought about this game. What your expectations are of the season. And be sure to like and subscribe to the Unbiased and Realistic Dallas Cowboys fans channel. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys this coming week for my pregame prediction video for the Cowboys and Bengals. I'll see you guys then. Go Cowboys.
Looking down the field, Lamb, 10-5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.